Hey, it's Gene. I just want to give myself a few statements on what's happened the last couple days. Apparently, a lot of people in my family is upset with me. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm going to say what I have to say, and then you guys decide what you want to do. Um, on the merit, I agree with the decision a couple days ago. But what's funny is how we got here. Mississippi voted in a law that said no abortions up to 15 weeks, which is nearly 4 months. I think that that's more enough time, and I think a lot of people that might have been pro-choice in the first, then science and time, we become more and more less being pro-choice when it comes to this, because it's a new human being, and whatever they want to say, it clearly is. Um, so I think, and I've said this many times when I have these conversations about abortion, that I think after the first trimester, it should be outlawed. Actually, I think Mississippi went a little bit further than that. It went to 15 weeks, which is about similar to everything in Europe. Some places are like 12 weeks, which is the first trimester. So people are saying that we're the most craziest country because we do this. It's crazy. So what happened here is that there was a women's health organization, which I think is similar to it's called Jackson Women's Organization, that sued and against this law and won at the Fifth Circuit Court. Um, so what they did basically is they allowed the Supreme Court to have the ability to take this, because obviously what Mississippi did is that they appealed that verdict, and the Supreme Court decided on hearing this case. This is nothing that the Republicans just all of a sudden gave the Supreme Court for them to rule on this, but when this faction came out and sued Mississippi on, I guess, the unconstitutional of the 15 weeks, then came up to the Supreme Court, and Roe correctly was overturned, and now it will go back to Mississippi. Now, what happens is for the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen the left and blue states basically say you can have an abortion on demand, and some, even in California, it's like there's some um, bills or policies that are talking about after birth. So when the left went so far to that and saying you could have abortions when somebody's basically getting ready to get born, that it's their body, their choice, on demand, all that stuff. And at some point, other people that are more common sense said, let's do this. Let's say 15 weeks, and that should help out enough. That's enough time for you to decide whether you want the baby or not. And this idea that people, I mean, the idea that we give women absolutely no responsibility and accountability on this, that they didn't know that they were pregnant for 4 months. But of course, all the other things come out now, and it's just it's all clouding the issues. So what happens is some of these states went the other way. When you go so far to one side, the idea is that the pendulum is going to come back, and that's what happened in these states where they have these trigger laws. Um, as somebody that at this point I'm pro-life, I really have an issue with, but I understand why people are upset about it. But nobody wanted to have this compromise at 15 weeks, which I think is very good. I get it. But they didn't want that. The people that were driving this stuff, that had all the money behind it, were not the common people. There was the elites that wanted this abortion to be on demand. I mean, you saw the video in New York when they passed that bill 2 or 3 years ago, and they were like clapping about this, that basically saying that you could actually have an abortion right before somebody got born. The science is clear on here, even more than people will say about climate change. It's a fucking human that's in there. It was crazy as all these people would be like upset if their dog was having puppies and had some issues. They would be all upset if you had to abort the baby to whatever. But when it comes to human life, they have this issue. Um, it's time that this is. It's going to go back to the states, and each states will probably be different. It'll be hard for some people, but they got themselves here because they're the one that sued it at the very beginning, and they didn't realize what actually could happen at the end. That you had a somewhat of a right-leaning court, and obviously Roe and was already it was based on a lie anyway, and it was very very poor how it was judged 50 years ago, and even on Casey it is as well. So that's all I wanted to say on it. Uh, when I make comments like if you just take protection and you just take some accountability, people get upset about that. People have to understand that about 95% of all abortions are elective. They're just it becomes we've allowed this to be their type of birth control when it comes to this, uh, because we've allowed women to just so degenerate at this point. But anyway, I don't want to go down that road. That's just me being more how I am when it comes to this. It's just it's a good thing. I hope that people are just finally sit down and have this conversation. I think the Mississippi law was right where it should be, 15 weeks. I've probably been a little bit less, but I think that was a fair law. And the thing is that this women's organization had to go after it, had to sue it, and this is where we ended up. We wouldn't have been here. Mississippi would just have the same law. All these other states would have whatever they have, and that would be it. But here we are. So whoever lives in these states that are considered red right now, they can do what they got to do. You vote it back, get somebody else in office, and change it. Anyway, that's it. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.